So this is my client who comes about every 5 months or so, and she is actually the head of the color video that I won for Best Color Video in the Behind the Chair One Shot Awards. So this is a nice quickie video because she wanted to go darker for fall. And I absolutely love the dimensional look, especially in darker hair color, because it is so easy and it literally requires no thinking whatsoever. And for her, she didn't want to add any more blonde, so it was actually kind of perfect. And she is about a natural 3'4", and she liked one of my pictures off my Instagram of this darker, dimensional, chocolate rooted balayage look. So we are going to use the Surface hair color, the 5 Gold, because she does have a lot of blonde in there, and I want to darken it and add some richness to it. And we're going to use that with the 7 volume developer. And this is a newer line that I'm trying out, and the tones are very nice. I actually really love, especially the fall tones that they have. I added the One Shot Bond Builder, and what is cool, what they have is a color thickener, and you can basically adjust the thickness or thinness however you like. So anytime I'm going to be adding any lowlights or color melting, I do like to thicken it up a little bit so I have a little bit more control. Now we are going in with all sliced lowlights. Now, as you'll see in some of these shots here, I should say, she is from New York, so she's almost about 2 hours away from me, and she gets chemical straightening services, so that's why you'll see a lot of kind of breakage in the back there. So she does get that in between her services with me, so I'm guessing a little bit from the heat and the straightener that those little pieces kind of broke off there, but which is kind of nice that we're going darker, because then that will be a little bit more camouflaged. So this is my go-to pattern when I am adding sliced lowlights. I am taking thicker sections as I'm slicing, so that way it doesn't create more work on myself. And here, when you take thicker sections, you're gonna really be able to see that and see the dimension to add to it and getting those pops of depth within her look. Now, the only thing that you want to be careful with is when you're taking a thicker section is that making sure that you have complete saturation, because there is nothing worse than a spotty section that didn't get covered. So you'll see me tilting my brush to the side of it and kind of digging in the color of the hair. You can also mist a little bit of water down, so that way it kind of glides on a little better if you prefer. I know a lot of people do that as well. With my lowlights, I tend to actually not do that if I don't need to. But as you see me working in V-like sections all the way up the head, and when I get to the top of the section, you'll see me take a very just thicker, chunkier weave. That way I don't have just a slice right on the top of her head, just in case if you do see that, or if you may be mixing correctly. I know a lot of people, sometimes they don't mix their color melting, and you can kind of see that. So it's almost just like a safeguard insurance for me. And speaking of formulas here, for the lowlights, I did a 5, and then you'll see me going later in this video. I will take a 3 and a 5 mix to create a 4 for her roots. So we are going just slightly darker on her root area and blending that in with the rest of her head. And then of course, I'm using the mesh for her lowlights. I absolutely love using mesh. Have you ever guys tried the mesh out that you might not have before? I don't know, they're awesome. And honestly, they are really easy to clean, because after they're done, I'll throw them into the sink, put a bunch of hot water in them, open it up and kind of shush them around there in the sink a little bit, and all of the color just seamlessly comes off. The only time it doesn't come off is if you wait a really long time, and then it might be a little harder. So here, the next 2 sections, I'm kind of going slightly diagonal back. And then after the 2 sections here, I will actually basically take a slice, kind of connecting those 2 mesh sections together. And again, I always have to think about my outcome of what my client wants. Now, since we're going darker, we are still going to be glazing the remaining hair left over. So I'm keeping her whole entire face frame out. So that way, when I apply my lighter glaze, that will still be a lighter section. So she'll still feel a little bit brighter around the face, even though we're really darkening her up. And then as you see with this top section here, again with the top sections, I'm just doing a very heavy chunky weave up top. So that way it just blends nicely. I'm not just getting a big slice right on top. And then that is it for the one side. And I am going to repeat on my other side. And I do a lot of, balayage looks, more luxe hair, I should say. And I'm always putting bond builders in my lowlights because I just want my clients to have continuously healthy, shiny, nice hair. So think about that too when you're doing a service. If someone needs a little bit extra thirst in there, or even though they're going darker, continue to use your bond builders because it definitely makes a little bit of a difference. I'll even use them in my glazes as well, and lowlights and the lighteners if needed. So definitely do that. It's kind of like just an upscale service that you're creating an overall experience, and you just want your clients to have nice hair. And with her, she of course gets the keratin services done. She uses a lot of heat to her hair because she has that naturally without the keratin in her hair, or her straightening service. She applies a lot of heat to it when that starts to come out. So I'm always thinking of that too, of what the client does on a daily basis to their hair. And then of course, as you normally see me, I'm always using a board, especially when you take really thick sections. You want to get the most saturation. So here is my low light. I did a 5 and a 3. I want to go darker on her roots. I'm adding a little bit of thickener so it's not too loose, and I have a little bit more control as I am applying the mixture to her root area. Then for my end glaze, I'm going to be doing a mixture of 5NB, 9NB, and clear. And that's just going to create a really nice, rich, soft tone to her ends. And oh my gosh, this is probably one of my favorites on her because she is naturally a little bit darker. I think she's, I forget where she's at, her family is from, but she honestly just rocks this color and it looks so healthy. Anyway, so here of course I am applying the roots first. I want to make sure I get them nice and saturated and darken and enrichen her up a little bit. I actually probably could have used, as I was like looking through it, I should probably use a tiny bit lighter. I noticed with this line, it does deposit pretty fast then. So when you apply this, you're like, oh, is it really doing anything? But leave it go for a few minutes and then it's like, oh wow, it's depositing really good. So the tone is so true in this color line. If you haven't used it before, it is pretty nice, and it's pretty much spot on when it comes to the tonality of what it comes to be. And then I am working the rest of my end glaze throughout her hair. You'll see me using my color comb and distributing through that evenly, making sure it has a nice pretty blend. Don't mind my lack of gloves. I think I was getting my nails done soon after anyway. But with how blonde she is, I definitely let this on a few minutes more than what I normally would versus of a darker hair doing a blonde. So I think I left this on for like 13-15 minutes or so. That way I could make sure it deposited all that into the extra blonde that she had going on, because she did have quite a lot of blonde. And it's crazy too to look at the hair here in the bowl, inside lighting, to where we took the after shots at, because it's like completely different. So I feel like if you ever like toning down, don't get discouraged. Know what you're gonna do, how much blonde you left out. I know it's sometimes hard to visualize what the outcome is going to be like, or if you toned it too dark, or, you know, if you didn't leave too much light in. But I mean, look at this. How beautiful and rich this is. It's like a completely different person from when she came in with all of that blonde. I mean, it's still light, but it's definitely darkened. It's richened up. You can still see the pops of dark throughout. This is such a great, easy fall transformation look that doesn't really require a whole heck of a lot of thinking. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Comment below if you have any questions, and thanks for tuning in.